Good morning. Good morning, dear Excellencies, ambassadors, honorary consuls, businessmen, and guests. Welcome to our annual diplomatic reception. I hope we can hear each other and that all the technique is okay. I wish I could invite you to also physically feel at home at the Chamber of Commerce and Industry of Slovenia, but you already are. Unfortunately for us, each of you in a different place. Well, anyway, let's keep it that way for the next 45 minutes. My name is Matej Rogel, and I'm a director of International Relations Department, and my job and that of my team, which you cannot see, is to make sure this event runs smoothly. Since I'm not an avatar, wish me luck. The Chamber is in its prime after 170 years, and we are pleased and honored to have you here today. In fact, some of you may not be even able to come as you are based in neighboring countries or even further away. In return, we would like to give you some insights and perspectives on how the Slovenian economy is doing and what directions and aspirations it has or should have. To this end, the President of the Chamber and the Minister of Economy will address you as keynote speakers. We will also have an analytical insight through our chief economist and a success story of a self-made entrepreneur. I will take care of the cream at the end and tell you what we actually do. As you'll notice, virtual time has allowed us to have high-profile speakers, although not all of them are actually online. So now, without further ado, we give you the recording of the opening speech of the President of the CCIS, Mr. Boštjan Gorjup. Please.
Esteemed ambassadors, honorable and economic counselors, members of diplomatic corps, and dear business leaders, I welcome you to the annual CCIC virtual diplomatic reception. I assure you, we do not intend to make a habit of these types of meetings. We are well aware of the importance and value of face-to-face real-life contacts. However, as this is a traditional chamber event, we felt obligated to inform you about the socio-economic state of the country from the Chamber's point of view and to thank you for your valuable cooperation and support. Maintaining and developing international relations is at the core of the Chamber's activities and mission. As representatives of your countries and economies, you are our valuable partners and friends. The past year has taught us the importance of resilience and connectedness. Despite uncertainty and occasional nervousness, Slovenia and its economy are proving that they can not only withstand new conditions, but adapt to them, and in some cases even use them as additional recharge and acceleration. The relatively modest decline in foreign trade is far from ruining the economy. The main postulates of our country remain history and tradition, stable and balanced development, quality of life, and coexistence at the crossroads. The EU presidency in the second half of this year will give us the opportunity to present and to promote our ways and aspirations within the broader international community. As for the Chamber itself, we claim to be the oldest institution in Slovenia apart from the Church. This year we celebrate 170 years of professional and passionate activity of representing, promoting, and defending the interests of business. As such, we believe we are entitled to call on society and propose new visions and directions for development. We call our vision Slovenia 5.0. Following the vision inspired by Japanese Society 5.0, we design it as an action plan for sustainable development. The plan addresses coordinated development and actions in 7 areas, from economy, science, education, environment to far social regulation. It means combining technology and sustainability for the benefit of quality of life. It means a super smart society in virtual and real environments, and it aims to make us 40% more productive by 2025 and one of the most developed societies in the world by 2030. To achieve this, we call for and propose a development partnership coalition of policymakers, academia, business, and civil society. The role of business is to invest in development, innovation, and markets. Politics should meaningfully deteriorate the business environments and invest in physical and social infrastructure. Science should take care of fundamental and applicable knowledge. This plan has a realistic basis. To get away from letters on paper, the Chamber has created an investment platform on the board, a selection of 307 investment projects of Slovenian companies. This is our contribution to the new EU financial perspective until 2027. And because we cannot and will not do it alone, and because investment means partnership, we invite you, esteemed diplomats, to visit us, to inquire about the details of our projects, and to inform your governments that Slovenia offers opportunities to partnership. Allow me to conclude, esteemed diplomats, by thanking you once again for your support and attention, and wishing you a pleasant mandate in Slovenia. Thank you.
Thank you, President. While we skip the applause, I ask my backstage colleagues to broadcast the address of the Minister of Economic Development and Technology, Mr. Zdravko Počivalšek, please.
Esteemed honorary consuls, ambassadors, diplomatic representatives, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you all are doing well in these challenging times. We have a new reality in front of us that we have to adopt and pave new sustainable ways of post-COVID recovery of our economies. Slovenia has been traditionally a very export-driven economy, where exports represent 85% of everything we produce. In 2020, the latest numbers tell us that Slovenian companies exported well over 36 billion euros worth of goods and services. Our 5 most important foreign trade partners within the European Union are Germany, Italy, Austria, Croatia, and France. While on the other hand, the most important foreign trade partners outside the European Union, where the trade exchange exceeded 1 billion euros, are Switzerland, China, Serbia, Russian Federation, Bosnia and Herzegovina, and Turkey. Our aim is to increase the export and deepen trade also with other countries which you here represent, and where your honorable role is of great importance for our economy. Slovenia's most dominant export industries are automotive industry, pharmaceutical industry, ICT, and tourism. One of the key roles of our ministry is creating a favorable business environment, particularly in terms of internationalization and FDI. Therefore, we are preparing the measures to lower the tax burden, make more flexible labor legislation, reduce the administrative burdens, and digitalize. Smart privatization is another strategic project of our government. We support strategic and smart privatization of state-owned companies, and you have the opportunity to take an active role in this project. There are more than 100 state-owned companies in the portfolio with more than 10 billion euros assets. I would like to stress again that we will greatly rely on you as liaison officers when it comes to successfully achieving this goal. And where do we see our country going in the future? Firstly, Slovenia prides itself as one of the safest countries in the world, being the 3rd most forested country in Europe and one of the richest countries in water resources. Secondly, our workforce is highly educated, well qualified, dedicated, and has a high level of digital literacy. Thirdly, Slovenia has a good geostrategic position and thus offers an entry point for a potential of doing business with more than 500 million European citizens. We are also at the crossroads of important trade routes, which are supported by good infrastructure. For example, Port of Koper and three national airports serve as important levers to boost the economy and tourism, while setting a good basis for logistical hubs. Esteemed honorary consuls, ambassadors, diplomatic and economic representatives, ladies and gentlemen, we are aware that you are our most important and most valued economic liaisons, especially in the countries where Slovenia has not yet established its embassies or trade routes. Your activities, experiences, collective knowledge and recommendations are very important in putting Slovenia on the broader map as a green, active and healthy tourist destination, as a country worth doing business with, and as a country that is open to investments and investors. I would like to conclude with one quote that comes to mind in moments like this. Henry Ford once said, "Coming together is a beginning. Keeping together is a progress. Working together is a success. So let's work together successfully." Thank you for your attention, and I wish you all a pleasant day.
Thank you, Minister. Our next speaker is online, I hope so, right now, and he will tell us how the Slovenian economy has performed over the past year and what is predicted for the future. Our colleague Bojan Ivanc is not a fortune teller. He is the chief economist of the CCIS, and he is mostly right. Bojan, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Matej. Hello, everyone, dear guests. I'm honored. I'm not seeing you live, but still I have kind of attachment to you, so I prepared a presentation. Matej is not totally right. We were of course wrong in 2019 about how the things will evolve in 2020, but let's hope we have more luck this year, you know. So I prepared for you a couple of slides on how the economy developed in the last year and what's our expectations for the current year. Okay, so basically I prepared 10 most important data which I do think are quite important for you to explain you a bit more thoroughly. So the GDP fell according to first estimates by 5.5%. What's important here is to add that the calendar effect, so 2 working days more in 2020 compared to 2019, added 0.6 percentage points to the GDP. So without a positive calendar effect, the GDP would be lower by 6.1%, which is quite, let's say, similar to Euro area where the GDP was down by, I would think, 6.6% or 6.4%. Yeah, 6.4%. So basically, our economy is a bit more industrialized as an average European area economy. And of course, this explains why GDP also fell less than in other countries. One also very important metrics to look at is, of course, the number of jobs. So Slovenia was quite successful in retaining most of the jobs. So its number fell just by 1%, which is according to experience and according to past experience from the previous crisis, quite a success. But as you will see in my presentations in next couple of slides, of course, the government measures were the ones which made the difference compared to the financial crisis or to the other economic crisis in the past. Okay. The third most important thing for you to note is that the gross income of household rose by 1%. So how do you think is it possible that the household income rose, whereas the household consumption was reduced by 1/10? So the difference were, of course, savings. So basically, the salaries held up quite well. Also, the government introduced some new extraordinary social expenditures, one-offs. And of course, this helped to, let's say, cushion the negative effect that was presented on the labor market, as for example, those people which were working, which were staying at work, which were in the working support scheme, of course, received usually 80% of their wages. But of course, with those additional money that was distributed, the end gross income was quite or less similar than it was in 2019. Okay, so like in other countries, as you can observe, the excess savings were built in the last year, and those savings probably expect partly that they will add to the consumption this year as well. Fifth important factor to note in the previous year is that we had a reduction in consumer prices. It was almost like zero. Of course, the prices of food were still higher. On the other hand, there was a negative contribution of prices of gasoline. And of course, as Slovenia uses gasoline more than other European countries, of course, this explains why the general movement in prices was lower in Slovenia compared to other countries. And the sixth important element to note is the exports were quite well in the previous year, so they did fall by 9%, but this was far less than if you compare this with, let's say, mid-June forecasts. So the exports of goods were lower by about 6% in real terms, whereas those of services were down by 1/5. So the reason is, of course, the tourism. There were less foreign tourism spending in Slovenia, and they represent about 2/3 of all tourism spending, so the foreigners. So as in other countries, the tourism was very negatively affected by the pandemic. And of course, the other types of services were less affected. For example, did you know that in construction, we had an increase in exports, as well as in high educated services? There was an increase in exports in last year. But of course, the services, the tourism is so important that it explains why the drag on overall services was so high. The seventh most important element to note is that the investments into fixed assets last year have not fallen much. You see, just by 4%. So that's also quite remarkable. You probably know that on short-term companies or governments usually do not, let's say, remove the investment projects. Probably those were already planned in 2019, but they still held quite well. And also in the last quarter, the government added to the increase in fixed assets, and this helped also to cushion the effect on those investments. The current account is also a very important thing to note. So Slovenia, with a positive current account, of course, is financing external world. So why? So the difference between exports and imports have grown because the imports have fallen more than the exports. And this increased our current account to 7.3% of GDP. Of course, we expect going forward, current account will be reduced because higher domestic consumption, higher domestic investments also means there's a larger component of the foreign produced products that are imported to Slovenia. And of course, this will reduce, but just to note, in the previous year, current account was really positive. And of course, the lower price of gasoline also added to this positive effect. On the other hand, of course, government measures that were introduced, of course, also meant that the fiscal deficit was quite high. So it was at 3.5 billion euro, which was about 7.6% of the GDP. And the government debt has increased by about 18 percentage points to about 83% of GDP. So mostly this statistics is quite similar to other European countries. So all the countries added to the debt to help the economy cushion the effect of the pandemic. Going forward, I wanted to show you how the GDP evolved year on year. So you see quarterly GDP year on year, and you can see, of course, the second quarter was the most terrible one. This was probably the low end of the economy, and probably it was quite similar in other countries. Whereas, as you see in the third quarter, recovery was quite high, and in the fourth quarter, of course, the lockdown measures were again reintroduced, but of course, were far milder than in the second quarter. So the state definitely learned the lesson that hard lockdown does not work so much, because it adds a burden to the economy. And especially in third and fourth quarter, the manufacturing sector added to the growth of the whole economy quite much. And the indicator which we look at and we put quite a lot of attention on it is electricity consumption. And just to note, the electricity consumption in the first 2 months, it's on a level quite similar to the previous year. So in the first quarter, we see the economy quite on a similar level than in the first quarter of the last year. This is the economic sentiment index of Slovenia and EU27, which is tracked quite closely one to each other, with that exception, of course, that the sentiment was a bit more positive, or let's say recovered faster in Slovenia versus EU27. On the other hand, in the second lockdown in winter, autumn of the previous year, you can see a drop was still a bit higher. So, of course, the measures introduced in Slovenia were introduced a bit sooner in the second lockdown, which of course removed part of the sentiment in Slovenia. But still, as you can see, overall, the GDP fell less than previously expected. Our expectations for the previous year was a 6% drop. So now let's say some words about extensive government support measures which were introduced last year. So the retention of employment was definitely the most important measure which helped to preserve the jobs. It helped to preserve the consumer sentiment. And of course, when the first lockdown was removed, this explains why in the third quarter, the economy recovered quite much. On the other hand, there were also some additional measures as public services wage increases, which were connected to the pandemic. So the state added to the wages of people working in education, in health. It added to the payment of workers with, let's say, lower wages. And also in the first pandemic wave, it also added to the wages of people who were still working below a certain wage threshold. In addition, government made 2 one-off payments to the retired people and also to some other social groups. So basically, this pillar of increasing consumption was also quite significant in Slovenia, especially if you compare it with other countries. Then a very important part of this pie are also the guarantees. So this is not an expense, you know. This is, of course, a guarantee. Of course, if those guarantees, if those debts or the taxes will not be paid at the end, of course, the government will of course have to pay those amounts. But of course, we do not expect that a significant amount of these guarantees will be paid by the government. So this is more or less, let's say, an effect that helped the individuals, also the companies, to delay the payment of taxes or debts from the banking loans. So this is mostly the deferral instruments which were possible in Slovenia. There was also one special instrument in Slovenia which not every country had. This was a tourism voucher. On one hand, you can say that this was not a success because only half of all vouchers was cashed in. On the other hand, it was a kind of a positive multiplier effect to domestic tourism when, of course, there was a lack of foreign tourists in the third quarter. So the tourism numbers were quite positive then in the summer months, whereas, for example, part of the vouchers, which were of course not used in the last year, not cashed in, were also transferred to this year. So those households which were not able to make use of tourism vouchers because there was lack of capacities, will take use of it this year. So this is our view. So these are the key points. So our main assumption going forward. So when you look at our GDP forecast, we had the main assumption, and that is that we expect exit from most lockdown measures by end March. Okay, so this is our assumption. Of course, we probably may not be right, but we're quite sure that the lockdowns, which may be still present in the economy, will have a far less negative overall influence on the economy as previously. On one hand, the companies, let's say, adjusted to the lockdown measures. They, let's say, tried some new business models and were, let's say, successful. So we do expect that, of course, especially the second quarter will show quite a significant growth year on year, because it's quite impossible to imagine that the lockdowns could be so extensive as in second quarter of the previous year. So our base case is 4.5% growth in GDP. The minimum would be a 2% growth, and the max about 5.5. There's a mistake, sorry. So I wanted to add 1 percentage points to our upper value of the GDP rebound this year. And here you can also see the consensus. The consensus stands at 4.6 currently for Slovenia. We expect also a modest rise in employment. So on one hand, of course, we have these government measures which are still supporting the job market. Our estimate is that about 1/6 of all the people are staying at home or working on reduced working time. But of course, we do expect those numbers will come down. Of course, the number of beneficiaries which will make use, of course, of this measure will probably also decrease. On the other hand, we see quite an uptick in number of jobs in construction and in number of jobs in restaurants, because usually those two sectors are low productivity sector, where each euro of added value has to be compensated by additional employment of people. So this is the reason why we're quite optimistic on the overall number of employment, whereas we do still expect some less number of jobs in manufacturing as well as in retail. We're also quite positive on household spending. You can see we expect a rebound of 5%, which is quite a low number compared to a 10% drop last year, if you remember the number. So this increase is quite less significant than the decrease. We still do expect that part of the excess savings in the last year will be permanent, whereas part of it, of course, will be definitely used this year to help to spur the demand. We also expect an uptake in investments, especially construction-related investments connected to the public sector investments. So we see higher volume of construction works, also higher volume in residential buildings, whereas Slovenia was a clear lagger if you compare it to the region. For example, Austria and Germany, where the residential investments are already high for the 5th year in a row. In Slovenia, also in the last 2-3 years, they were quite low, and we still expect quite much will be built, and the residential market has stayed resilient. So the prices are still supportive of the construction sector going forward. We expect also a rebound in exports of services and goods, which will be quite significant. And a positive change in population is also one interesting thing that you also have to pay in mind. I think Slovenia and Montenegro are the two only countries within the ex-Yugoslavian territory which had a positive population growth in the last 10 years, in most of the years, honestly. So we also expect for this year that about 20,000 people will be added to our population number. Of course, these are not the number of new births, the net births, but these are of course the number of people which will get employed in services sector as well as in construction sector. And lastly, we do expect that the higher energy prices and higher services inflation, which will come from higher demand for services, are likely to push the inflation this year to about 1.8 to 2% range. So this will be probably still below that the numbers which will be in some other European countries, but we still do expect that in coming months, of course, we will see the increase in prices. So from my side, this would be all, with exception, of course, with my last slide. Last two slides. One is, of course, sector's outlook. So we're quite positive on restaurants, on the retail trade last year. So the number of cars was, I think, about 20-25% lower. So we do expect this will continue, that the rebound will be there. Of course, in home improvement and textiles, we also see a rebound in sales. As said, we're positive on construction. With ICT and financial services, we see quite a low growth in those two sectors. So those two sectors are, let's say, not so dynamic as one would think in other economies are, you know. Whereas for the sector which relies on mass events like culture, sports, fairs, and mass tourism, we do see quite a strong rebound, but we still do expect that they will reach about 75 or 80%, 85% of their 2009 sales. So the main reason, of course, is because for some of those events, you have to plan them in advance, and probably the people are not coming when the opening is taking place, you know. So this is the reason why we're more, let's say, confident that those sectors are getting to 2019 sales in the next year, probably not in this year. So here are the risks, the 5 risks and opportunities that we see going forward. So these are, let's say, the main elements that will probably influence that the economy will perform better or worse according to our presented estimates. So the path of pandemic is very important, but more is even important the correlation with restrictiveness measure, which is of course changing all the time. So we do see that the government is, let's say, quite supportive on listening to the voices of economy, when of course some sectors are, let's say, asking for opening of their activities. So we do expect this flexibility will remain in place. And the most important reason is, of course, that people in retirement homes are vaccinated. And as those people are vaccinated, you can see the number of deaths dropped by half. So half of all the, let's say, deaths was, of course, in retirement homes. And as we already protected that part of the population, that of course reduces the motivation of the government to introduce severe lockdown measures going forward. So we do expect an exit strategy from support measures, which of course may not be very gentle. So we do expect that some companies, of course, will complain and will definitely reduce the number of employment, as they will not see that they will not, let's say, easily adapt to the market measures, you know. Because they have specific situation within their company. One important thing to note is, of course, is consumer confidence. So this is still quite high, but it will be interesting to see what will be the speed of reduction in excess savings. You know, what we see is that excess savings were especially high in the 4th and 5th quintile of household incomes. So basically, the excess savings were especially, let's say, done by wealthy households. And usually those households do not reduce the excess savings so much as the one which with lower savings, you know. So we'll see how this definitely evolves. But we do see some pent-up demand going forward. So there will be also possibly that the government will add some additional measures to boost demand spending, some general or some specific ones, you know. So one would be, let's say, a special additional shares on sports or cultural activities. That's also our idea, you know. Or let's say there could be an additional payment or transfer to people working, let's say, in some sectors, you know. So we do see some, let's say, thinking of the government also to increase the demand, but we do see quite a low probability that the government would reduce the taxation, the consumer taxation, the VAT, for example. We do expect that the VAT will probably remain the same as it was, you know. And one important thing is, of course, when we talk about our economy and risk and opportunities, are of course the terms of trade. So in the last year, Slovenia, it was quite positive, of course, that the drop in the commodity prices happened, and that added to our current surplus, you know, and to our GDP, you know. Whereas in this year, we see, of course, higher commodity prices, higher oil prices, higher metal prices, and of course, especially the manufacturing sector is not likely, let's say, to retain the same margin as in previous year based on the higher metal prices, you know. Also, the crude oil that we import will, of course, reduce the available consumer, the available consumption of households for, let's say, other items, you know. So this is the fifth element, which of course represents quite a risk if, of course, those prices are still going up. So from my hand, this would be it. Mate, do you expect that there could be one question or two?
No, we didn't plan that, but nevertheless, there's a chat available. So if there are any questions, I will get them to you. So,
by the way, will you be able to pass my presentation to all the attendees?
Yeah, it's going to be.
That's great. Probably this is their primary concern, honestly.
Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Is there any question? I'm looking at the chat to see if there's any question.
Not at this point, as I can see.
No. Okay.
But don't worry, Boyan. We'll inform you. Thank you so
Great.
much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for organizing this event. All the best.
Okay, thank you, Boyan. Here is precise and valuable information as usual. Dear guests, with the arrival of spring and summer, we bring you a sweet story. It's a story about ice cream, which is going to be followed by the testimonial from the man who made it possible worldwide. So first, the film.
Welcome to the Goriška region, to Ajdovščina, the heart of the Vipava Valley. It was in Ajdovščina at the time when Slovenia gained its independence that Inkom, a company producing ice cream, was founded in a small garage. With his knowledge, energy, and dedicated colleagues, the owner Andrej Slokar developed a large international company. Coming from humble beginnings, the company now employs over 360 associates and currently generates 50 million euros in revenue with its delicious ice creams and frozen products. We prepare 100 tons of ice cream mixture each day, and from it we have the knowledge to create over 600 different products and produce over 2 million top ice creams daily. We also design and create innovative ice cream on a stick, featuring licensed cartoon characters that are loved by many. We are well aware that we can only be competitive by producing innovative, high-quality products, which is why we invest in our technological development and expand our production capacities. We are a technologically advanced company. The high level of work process automation and robotization we use allows us to be fast, competitive, flexible, and precise. Outstanding quality is the guiding principle of our company. We strive for excellence in every step and carefully verify it as well. The constant monitoring of product quality enables us to put only the very best ice cream from Ajdovščina out into the world. Ice cream that is valued highly abroad, even in the most demanding European markets, such as Germany, the United Kingdom, Italy, and even further afield, from America and Australia to Saudi Arabia. The many international awards for quality and innovation that our ice creams have received are a confirmation of our many efforts and excellence. We are now ready to take on new business challenges and are proud that we can create the very best ice cream for you. We are happy to offer our top ice creams in our 3 Leone shops in Ajdovščina, Nova Gorica and Maribor, exporting them from Ajdovščina out into the world. So good. Have a taste. Which one is your favorite?
Thank you. Mr. Boštjan Jerončić is from Income Company, and he's the storyteller of success, and he's online. Please.
Thank you for the word, distinguished diplomats and other guests. I'm really proud and honored that I can present our company to you. So as you see from our movie, we are presented in a lot of countries, 42 countries in the moment, with Leone brand, which is our own brand in 32 countries. Leone brand is presenting today 20% of our business, so 80% of our business is representing private label products which we are producing for different market chains. So also when we connected our business to this situation, which we have now almost for 1 year, so COVID situation, we can be happy because we are in food section, so we can say that we didn't have a big impact because our channel, which is a market chain channel, is the only channel where you can buy ice cream. So here was 13%. And the planned growth for this year is around 40%. So that means that we will come in turnover from 75 to 86 million euros. So we are exporting more than 90% of our products worldwide, as I said, also to the United States, to Canada, Australia on the other side of the world, New Zealand, Vietnam, Israel, and also China in last year. So there is an interesting story that the first container last year went to Wuhan when the situation in Wuhan was very bad at that time. So our main points where we are strong are that we have one owner, which is still Andrei Slokar, which is still presented every day in the company. So it's much easier to make the business because all the decisions, all the ideas can be made very fast. One good thing. Because of that, we are known as a very stick company in the world. So we are also innovative. That means that we have all departments in the company. The most important are 2 departments, which is Technological Development Center, R&D Center, where we produce new ideas, new ice cream products. On the other side, we have very strong technological department, where we are doing our own machinery, where we are producing 100% of it. On the other side, we are also upgrading the machinery which we are buying from other companies outside from our company. So with all this combination, as you see some products here, and as it was mentioned also in the movie, we can create really nice ice creams, which are not basic ice creams. So we are not only following trends, we can create trends. This is one thing which is very important. So you can see here growth coming from the last year, which is one of the most innovative products in the last 20 years in production of ice creams. So this was really big success for us. And we got a lot of awards also from Chamber of Commerce in Slovenia as an innovative product. And this is also our way in the future. So we would like really not to make simple products, to make special products, to make innovative products, to be the most innovative producer in the world. So because of that, I think that also our customers saw this hard work which we are doing here in our town, and they are.
Sorry, it looks like we fell out. Just give us a second, please. It looks like, I don't know, seems that we have some technical issues. I hope we will be able to return. If not, let's give it a few seconds, right? Well, I apologize for this technicality. In any case, we've seen the story, and I wish to thank you, Mr. Jeroncic, for sharing it with us. I would, of course, like to thank all of our speakers for sharing with us their views and expertise on the current and future development of the Slovenian economy. Finally, as I promised, let me share some information about the activity of International Relations Department. We are a proud part of Slovenian most influential voluntary association of business interest. We like to think that we are an important part of it. Our mission and daily task is to promote and support the presence and growth of Slovenian businesses on the international market in terms of trade, investment, knowledge, brands, and partnerships. To be honest, well, we didn't perform perfectly last year. Instead of holding, let's say, 80 or 90 international events, we have had only 50, most of them virtual. But we managed to keep up and develop products we wouldn't have otherwise. So we have produced a manual trading with Slovenia and beyond. We hope it will soon see the light of the day with the Spirit Public Agency, and so we can pass it on to you. For foreign companies interested in doing business cooperating with Slovenia, we have created an English language website and an accompanying newsletter. They contain interesting data about Slovenia and also our selection of internationally active companies from various industries, and most importantly, about our range of services. Yes, we also do tailor-made market entry guides for your companies. We identify potential partners and organize direct meetings with them. We can even act as a virtual agent for your companies. As a substitute for physical networking, we have successfully introduced online business talks, which currently involves 250 business people from 30 countries who also do business with each other in the spin-off WhatsApp group that just won't stop beeping. Finally, we developed the concept and the practice of a virtual business delegation, the 3D interactive virtual business space that is on your monitors and smartphones now. I hope, yeah, it's rolling. So it is a work in progress, of course. That is constantly being improved and polished. But now we can virtually go anywhere with anyone, anytime. So we'd love to stop by your business supporting institutions and companies too. So please spread the word or check with us for more information. All this was done in a hive of enthusiastic, dedicated, and creative team of 8 in 8 months, whom I thank for a job well done, sometimes on the verge of despair, when the world outside seemed to be falling apart. And I also take this opportunity to thank you for your collaboration, support, and attention. Thank you, and I hope to see you next year at our place, live and in real world. Thank you.